Welcome everybody, thanks for tuning in, and let's get started with hiking Pidurangala Rock. This is an alternative hike to see the famous Sigiriya Rock or Lion Rock from afar instead of hiking it itself. It's 500 rupees and the climb is...
not gonna lie, this hike is actually quite challenging. I think we're almost there. Hopefully, I'm sure it'll be worth the views, but it is 6:30 in the morning, so well done us.
It was already worth the views half the way up, and as you can see here, it got even more challenging towards the end. You literally have to climb up somewhere that is not meant for climbing.
Okay guys, here we are. I want to say it took about half an hour. We went fairly quick. We are super sweaty. We were literally dripping in sweat, but it was 100% worth the early wake up call at 5 a.m. This is mind-blowing. This is one of the most stunning viewpoints I have ever seen. Definitely worth it. Come here, see it. Wonderful, beautiful. Right? Yeah.
Another must-do in Sri Lanka is taking the train from Kandy to Ella or anywhere in between. We took the train from Kandy to Nurelia, and it is one of the most picturesque train rides in the world. You will ride with an open door, as you can see here. I am literally just sitting and watching the tea plantations, forests and villages go by. It's much safer than it looks, as the train is pretty slow, and it's an experience Sophie and I will never forget. Also, it's very good for Instagram pictures. Now let's have a look at visiting Buddhist temples. Buddhism is the largest religion in spiritual Sri Lanka, and it's a huge part of this country's identity, way of life, and of course history. Let's start with the Temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic, an experience I will not forget, and it is located in Kandy. What you can see here is a man praying to the tooth of Buddha, which is kept in a casket inside the temple. People come daily to bring bearings such as flowers, and for me as a fairly non-spiritual person, this was incredible to see. Also, they have a very special elephant to visit at the temple. This is Raja the Tusker, and he carried the casket of the tooth for about 50 years. When he died, they decided to turn him into taxidermy so that people can still visit him for many years to come. And now you tell me that you have ever been to a temple like this before.
Okay guys, we've just come to a little cafe where we're going to have an espresso after the temple, and I do want to mention the dress code is super important. Do not underestimate it. Obviously don't show your shoulders, so like I have a little scarf here, and wear long trousers. And our guide told us before that they are particularly particular with the tourists, and that is super true. I had a police lady come up to me because my back was showing. Actually, probably don't do what I do and wear a top underneath, just wear a t-shirt and you're safe. But yeah, overall an amazing experience. The most important Buddhist temple on the island.
And just because the Temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic is considered the most important one, it does not mean that any of the others are less beautiful or significant in any way. We also visited Neligala International Buddhist Center, which you can see here, which was grand with lots of open spaces, and we saw the impressive Silver Temple, where we got the chance to meet the chief priest and learn more about religion in Sri Lanka, which really moved me.
Super impressive, but what really stuck with me is the love that they have for every religion. So even though this is a Buddhist temple, Hinduism is celebrated just as much. So for example, they have a little painting underneath one of the Buddhas that symbolizes the animal of Hinduism, which is obviously the cow, and the animal of Buddhism, which is the elephant, hugging. And I thought that was just so nice. And obviously we saw a shrine as well, a Hindu shrine in the middle of a Buddhist temple. Super nice, really warms my heart.
Ceylon tea from Sri Lanka is one of the most well-known and smoothly delicious black teas in the world. Sri Lanka, in fact, is the world's 4th largest producer of tea. So do visit a tea plantation when you go there and take a deep breath in and out. And you will never breathe air like this again. It's warm yet crisp with an ever so slight hint of tea in the air. I loved it. And what now follows is maybe the most unforgettable day of the trip. It was very early morning in Sri Lanka, as you can see, and we were about to see what is called the Mini World's End and meet and eat with locals.
Okay, good morning guys. So it is currently I think about 7 a.m. and we have just stopped at this little food stand over here, which is the last place to get food before you get into the mountains. And they were telling us that it's all based on a trust system. So essentially you walk through and you eat whatever you like, and then afterwards you pay. So they trust you to tell them how much exactly you've eaten, and it's all pretty authentic. I'm really enjoying it. I just had a roti and a tea and a banana. Very nice for this early in the morning.
Next, we drove higher into the mountains and we learned about the importance of the cloud forest and met some of its animals, such as this horn-nosed lizard. Before we set off for our final climb to see the world's end, I had to change and cover my ankles with socks because...
Okay guys, so whilst I'm walking through the jungle here, I think it's about the right time for me to tell you that this was the first time earlier I saw a leech, and apparently leeches are normal and harmless. They just sit on your ankles and they bite you and they suck your blood, and I didn't know that. So I completely freaked out, which is why I look like this. But I got used to it now, I'm fine, and we're just, in the middle of the Sri Lankan forest, walking through the forest. It's totally normal, but I'm sure it will be worth the view.
Any leech bite was worth this view indeed. I think I freaked out a little bit because our guide had told us that there were some poisonous animals in the forest, but after the leech experience and on the way to have lunch with the locals, I became much braver all of a sudden, and we found a semi-venomous snake in the bushes, and this is what happened.
You can try.
No, I don't think I can. What if I drop it,
No, I won't.
Okay, I'll try. But you have to film me.
What do I do with the stick, or you hold it?
Oh yeah, I can see.
I'll just leave him.
Oh my god. Thank you. Oh. Bye.
I'll camouflage you.
Yeah, you can't see him. I'm super impressed that you saw him in the bush. Just like that. Well done. Thank you very much. Okay, my heart is pumping.
I mean, feel free to let me know if you have ever touched a semi-venomous snake. I feel quite chuffed about my experience, I'm not gonna lie. Next, it was finally time to eat, and we went to visit a village called Mahalakotuva, where the locals welcomed us with fresh coconut and home-cooked food. We sat down for lunch with the village's herbal expert family, who made traditional Sri Lankan goodness, as you can see here. I learned how to eat with my hands, and it was humbling, and it felt like the absolute real Sri Lanka right there. You can probably tell by the shaky footage you must do an elephant safari when you are in Sri Lanka. I have actually made an entire video about this experience, which is now in the cards. And finally, I want to give a super extra special shout out to our driver and expert guide Joseph, without whom this experience would not even have been half as wonderful. Thank you, Joseph.
Okay guys, so we are at the airport. We're about to leave. Sophie and I are super sad. Come.
Miss Hendon.
Come in as well. And yeah, I just wanted to film a little moment before we leave. Joseph, if people want to visit Sri Lanka, what is the number one thing? Why should they come?
Because of the real beauty of the nature, culture, custom.
Yes.
And I will tell you a small word.
Okay, go.
Bernard Shaw told me,
Yeah.
or in the book, Ceylon is a cradle of human being
Yeah.
because everyone looks original.
Perfect. Amazing. Thank you. Yeah. Woo. Okay, let's go fly.